Commissionerate of Collegiate Education, Government of Andhra Pradesh welcomes you to the video class on Karl Marx Theory of Economic Development. Learners, this is Dr. K.G. Mallikarjuna, Lecturer in Economics, Government Degree College for Men, Kurnool. These are the various concepts we are going to discuss under this video lesson. Let us discuss the first one, introduction to our Karl Marx, and let us go to the slide number 1. Karl Marx, born in 1818 in a Jewish family of Germany. Though Karl Marx was a law student, but he is interested in philosophy. He is strongly influenced by the German philosopher Hegel. He acquired doctorate degree in 1841 in philosophy. Along with his friend Engels, he published a revolutionary pamphlet called the Communist Manifesto. Historic and revolutionary book Das Kapital was written by Karl Marx in the year 1869. And this book is considered as holy book by the followers of Karl Marx, by the followers of socialist communism, and Marx is regarded as the prophet. Karl Marx died in the year 1883 in London, and he is one among the most influential persons in this world. After getting introduction of Karl Marx, let us move to the second one, assumptions of the theory. So let us go to the second slide. Before explaining Karl Marx theory of economic development, let us see what are the various assumptions on which the theory was built. According to Karl Marx, the total society divides into two classes particularly. One is bourgeois class, popularly known as the capitalist class, and the second class is the proletariat class, otherwise working class, labor class. Wages of the workers are determined at subsistence level of living, means that the wages will be just equal to the minimum subsistence level of the laborer. Labor theory of value is applicable here, means that labor is the only factor which can produce value. Factors of production are owned by the capitalist. The total capital can be divided into two types, that is constant capital, that is the cost incurred on constant factors of production, and the variable capital, that is the total number of labor, otherwise the cost incurred for the hiring of labor. Labor is homogeneous, means that there is no difference among the labor regarding the physical strength, regarding the mental ability, regarding their intelligence, regarding their productivity, etc. And labor is also perfectly mobile. There prevails perfect competitive conditions throughout the economy. National income is the sum of the remunerations of two factors of production called labor and the organizer, means that national income is equal to wages plus profit. After knowing the assumptions, let us move to the next one, that is historical stages of growth as explained by Karl Marx. So let us go to the third slide. According to Karl Marx, all historical events are the result or outcome of economic struggle between two classes that prevail in the society. And according to him, all historical events are highly influenced by economic conditions. Marx described 5 stages of history, and according to him, these 5 stages occur in any country one after one, and these stages are: first, we have primitive society, where the total society is having ownership on all factors of production. We cannot find any type of class struggle here, and even society cannot be divided into two classes. And after some time, because of some selfishness, the classes started dividing in the society. So the second stage comes, that is called as a slavery, in which the society divided into the masters and the slaves. And after some time, the stage moves to feudalism, where the society can be divided into the landlords and the peasants. And after that, as industrial revolution takes place and industrial sector develops, the next stage appears, that is called as capitalism, where the society divided into two classes again. One is bourgeois class, otherwise the capitalist class as said earlier, and the labor class. And the clash between these two classes ultimately leads to socialism according to Karl Marx. After knowing the historical stages of growth, let us move to the next one, the theory of surplus value, which is considered as the central point of the total theory of Karl Marx. And let us go to the fourth slide here. So, according to Karl Marx, value can be generated by labor alone. That is called as labor value theory. He believed this concept, and he followed the same concept from the classicals, particularly Adam Smith and David Ricardo. Labor is capable of producing value over and above what they are getting in the form of wages. All laborers will be paid up with the minimum subsistence of wages, but what labor can produce is more than their wage levels. The surplus value, according to Marx, ought to have gone to the workers, because workers are the original creators of value. They are the main source of value. That's why Karl Marx opined that this surplus value ought to have gone to the workers. And while explaining his theory of surplus value, he developed three components of production. The first one is constant capital, denoted with C. Second one is variable capital, denoted with V. And the third one is surplus value, that is denoted with capital letter S. And in equation form, these things can be incorporated in this way. O stands for the value of output, otherwise the value of all goods and services. Output is equal to C plus V plus S, that is fixed capital plus variable capital plus surplus value. If you want to calculate surplus value alone, then S has to be bring this side of the equation. S is equal to O minus C minus V. And if you want to calculate price, P will be equal to C plus V plus S, where we can see that C plus V is the cost of production, expenditure incurred for the production, and S is the profit that went away into the pockets of the capitalists. After explaining this theory of surplus value, let us move to the next concept, that is exploitation of labor. So let us go to the fifth slide. According to Karl Marx, workers get only a little bit part of the total value of production. Labor is capable of producing more value, but what they are actually getting is only a little part. And not only that, the unpaid working hours of the labor is known as surplus value. For paid working hours, they are getting the minimum subsistence wages, but what they are not actually paying in spite of producing, that unpaid working hours can be treated as the surplus value according to Karl Marx. And this surplus value is illegally appropriated by the capitalists, and the extent of surplus value is the extent of labor exploitation. So according to him, the value of surplus value is just equal to the value of labor exploitation. After exploitation of labor, let us move to the another concept, that is three types of rates as explained by Karl Marx in his 4 volumes of Das Kapital. So let us move to slide number 6. The first ratio that has been explained by Karl Marx is exploitation rate. Karl Marx considered the rate of surplus value as the rate of exploitation, as we discussed earlier. And according to him, the rate of exploitation means the ratio between the surplus value divided by the variable capital labor. And symbolically, this can be shown as rate of labor exploitation is equal to S divided by V. And he is also introducing one more ratio, one more concept, that is organic composition of capital. And this organic composition of capital is nothing but the ratio between fixed capital and variable capital, and in formula form it can be explained as organic composition of capital is equal to C divided by V. Here C stands for fixed capital and V stands for variable capital. And according to Karl Marx, as capitalism continues for a long period, in this formula C will increase continuously because the capitalist would like to substitute machinery in the place of labor. So that's why organic composition of capital increases as capitalism develops. And lastly, the rate of profit according to Karl Marx particularly depends upon the rate of labor exploitation as well as organic composition of capital. And so as to calculate this, we use this formula: R, the rate of profit, is equal to S, the surplus value, divided by C, the fixed capital, plus V is the variable capital. And if you divide this numerator and denominator elements with V, then we will get R is equal to S by V, the C by V plus V by V. S by V is nothing but the rate of labor exploitation. That's why it can be rewrite as rate of exploitation in the numerator, and in denominator C by V is nothing but, as said earlier, it is organic composition of capital. That's why let us substitute organic composition of capital instead of this C by V, plus V divided by V gives you 1. So the rate of profit according to Karl Marx is equal to the rate of exploitation divided by the organic composition plus 1. After explaining this three types of ratios, three types of rates by the Karl Marx, let us move to one more concept, that is capital accumulation. And let us go for the slide number 7. So according to Karl Marx, what is this capital accumulation? Means that due to heavy competition in the society among the capitalists themselves, so as to acquire more and more profits, some weak and incapable capitalists will disappear from the market. That's why a few capitalists, powerful capitalists, will remain in the market, and the total capital will be accumulated in the hands of those few number of capitalists. And due to exploitation and acquisition of a surplus value also, the demand for capital will be less than the supply of capital. So the supply of capital will be more in the hands of few capitalists, and the demand for capital will decrease continuously. And not only that, excessive appropriation of this surplus value from the labor is also another important reason why capital accumulates in the hands of a few number of capitalists. After capital accumulation, let us see what is industrial reserve army. So let us go to the slide number 8. According to Karl Marx, capitalists finds that technological progress is the only way, it's the best way to maximize surplus value, because so as to reap more and more profits from the society, what are the options open to the capitalists is by reducing the wages. Second one is by increasing the labor hours. Third one is by introducing new technology and increasing the productivity of labor. In these three options, capitalists find increasing the labor productivity through technological progress as a most appropriate method. So they will follow this technological progress so as to maximize this surplus value. We know that technological progress uses labor saving capital equipment. That's why as technical progress happens, more number of laborers will be relieved from the work, more number of laborers will be retrenched from the work, and the surplus manpower took place, which Marx termed as the industrial reserve army. So due to technological advancement, the people will lose their jobs, and those people who are losing jobs and becoming unemployed can be termed as industrial reserve army according to Karl Marx. And higher the technology, as technology progresses, higher the technology, higher will be the industrial reserve army, and more pressure will be there on the laborers. That tends to decrease the wages as well below the subsistence level. So after industrial reserve army, let us move to the last concept explained by Karl Marx. So let us move to the 9th slide. Falling rate of profits. So this process of getting more and more profits by the capitalists is not a continuous process. It will end in some particular moment. On the other side, we can see the organic composition of capital also increasing with the technology, and heavy competition among the capitalists leads to unhealthy situation in the society, and some weak capitalists will disappear. Industrial reserve army increases because of technological advancement. More number of laborers will be relieved from the work and industrial reserve army increases. So those people who are still having work will get less wages than before. This increased misery of working class intensifies the class struggle. And lack of demand for the products on one side, the investment opportunities also decreases because laborers are losing their jobs, they are not getting income, and their purchasing power is less. That's why demand for the product will reduce, and that will kill the opportunities for investment. Profit rates declines sharply, and in one moment that turns into losses as well. And some other socio and economic factors will influence on the society, and that force the capitalism to collapse, and where the capitalism collapse, the socialism starts rising. This is the interpretation made by Karl Marx. Now let us see what are the criticisms leveled against this Karl Marx theory of economic development. The first criticism is it is applicable to static economy only. The theory of Karl Marx economic development is only applicable to a static economy, but it is not applicable to a dynamic economy. He said that as machinery increases, unemployment also increases, but it happens only in short run, but in long run. Karl Marx said that machinery increases unemployment, but this happens only in short run. But in long run, even to manufacture that machinery, you require more number of labor. Karl Marx objected the control of population, but overpopulation is harmful for the economy, and we consider population as a main retarding factor. According to Karl Marx, the role of government is completely limited in developing countries, but in modern days we can see in all developing economies, including our India, the role of government is very dynamic, and government is doing its level best for the benefit of the total society. And the prediction of Karl Marx that capitalism will collapse and socialism will rise is a wrong interpretation, because we can see in America for centuries they are following capitalism, and still capitalism is on, and there is no evidence of collapsing of capitalism and rising of socialism in America so far. On the other side, in most of the countries who are following this socialism, slowly they are moving towards capitalism instead, and some features of capitalism are also followed by the socialistic countries like China, Russia, and etc. So these are the various criticisms for Karl Marx theory of economic development. So thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you.